Welcome to the GOAT Show. It's the GOAT Show. Wow. I like to just do that to make sure that it tunes in right because, these intros and outros sometimes take a few seconds. And I never want any of my wonderful, at least opening rants to get lost in the opening of the show. Howdy, everybody. Glad to have you all here. Thank you for joining me. Or dare I say, hello, everybody, and welcome back. That's right. This is the OverPower Mountain podcast, and I am your host, Marcel, the greatest OverPower player of all time. Whew. What an OverPower weekend. What an OverPower weekend. And what an OverPower weeks to come. The dust is settling, and we have a bit to discuss. We're coming back to some sense of where OverPower's going and where it's headed with this tourney action over the weekend, cards being opened all over the place. Whoa, 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 whoa. Whoa, 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 Nelly. Whoa, Nelly. Whoa, Nelly. You know how we start the show. OverPower, OverPower. OverPower News. We gotta always start the show with the news. Gotta give you the breaking. Gotta give you the doot 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 doot. I know all you out there sing it along once we start the news. I'm glad to have everybody starting to roll in. I know you're really excited to hear about this weekend, the festivities that occurred, my breakdown of the decks. And hopefully it inspires you as we start to really break in to this OverPower season. Biggest news in my life. My cards finally arrived. I did both an unboxing, no card spoilers, and a pack ripping initial thought episode. It was super fun. I'm going to hold off on any more pack ripping episodes until I know at least the majority or everybody's kind of got their cards. Because I really kind of want people to join in on these episodes. I think ripping and looking for these moments in these boxes is something so incredibly different. I will say though, however, it seems my angst boiled over. Beginning of the week online, and for that I am sorry. My excitement outweighed my patience, and apologies. Though it appears that the angry mob that formed online has been heard. For I don't know how many of you follow the Discord. Some just follow this show for the news. But as of today at 4:51 p.m. on the Discord, according to Cardio Chris, that's actually an employee at Cardio, not just somebody with some fancy name on our Discord, all orders are out of the door. Everything is out. It is now in, or has already been out in USPS land. I'm seeing today that other people are getting their packages left, right, and center. LRG has stepped up. Ronald Pazzi has stepped up, especially on the Discord. And if you reach out, they'll even get you your tracking number at this point in time so that you can start to relieve your anxiety as to what was occurring. I did hear there was some hiccups. Buda, Texas They're lucky there wasn't 100 OverPower players in Texas, or else they might have stormed that place. And Texas got a lot of guns. So the mob screamed, and LRG and Cardio answered. And I'll tell you this, not only are they assuring backers everything's shipped, but I'm assuring you personally, because I got to experience it, it's everything you're thinking about and more. Opening these boxes, I did my first box with everybody online, and then, I snuck a couple extra packs just to enjoy my time. And it's different. Like, I almost think back, and I was trying, today when I was working, I was just sort of walking around and I was thinking, what does it feel like? Like, what time in OverPower does this feel like? And I'm just like, there's there's no time in OverPower that this feels like, you know? I've never chased cards like this in packs. It's very different. And through all the frustration, and again, mine boiled over, so I can't blame anybody who may boil over at this point in time. Just understand that when the moment comes, it will be worth it. And, take that second, take that deep breath when it does arrive, and just enjoy yourself. Because, I couldn't even think, like, other than like an IQ chasing the Power Leech or the Alien Symbiote or Mr. Fantastic. But even that was just not the same when you just see a glimmer on the side of a pack. And we'll leave it at that. So everything is being processed or processed immediately. If there's any issues, though, you can go on Discord. You can reach out to Ronald Pazzi or, of course, Cardio Chris. They are resolving issues left, right, and center. And, of course, within days or possibly a week, you will be getting to rip packs as well. People seem to be hunting more boxes already. So you can sense what I'm saying and the excitement that will ultimately occur. There will be a retail release as well. So there will be more boxes available through retail stores. So contact your local store and order some, because as long as they have one of these distributors, I'm sure they can personally order it for you as well. In other news, the next tourney is around the corner, literally around the corner. Peace Bridge, June 20th, 21st. This is your first chance to play and meet the OPGOAT if we haven't met in person yet. I will be there. This one's exciting. I'm going to tell you right now, as of right now, there are over 25 people confirmed for the tournament. Over 25. Now, I'm not trying to create any sort of FOMO moment here for anybody, but I will tell you that right away, there's a cap on this tournament. I don't know if it was 40 or 45. So if you're planning on getting out to this and you're going to have a little bit of fun, you make sure that you contact Howard Bertrand. I know the details are still kind of coming out in terms of full price point, but I will say it's the first all-inclusive and great time. So, of course, contact Howard Bertrand, and you will get more info in the coming weeks, definitely from me as well. So, make it out. I'd love to meet you all there. It's going to be an amazing time, and it always is. Last year, I believe everybody who attended even left with some sort of prize or keepsake. Shockingly, the first thing off the table was a 1-hour session with myself for deck building, and that was the number 1 prize chosen off that table that year. Congratulations again, Chris Vizina, on that prize pick. In other news, PAX was a success for LRG. The booth looks stunning. Apparently packed all weekend. Great job, volunteers. I know Al Spader was there, a big Discord person as well. Next con, I believe in the books, is Origins in Ohio. They will have a presence there as well. I know as well they have these beer mugs going on, or beer pint glasses. I believe there's also other random fun little giveaway promos that are sort of hidden throughout the hotel as well. But I will give you more info on that as well. So good luck and keep the Overpower love spreading. However, there was no promo. No promo at the con. I had heard rumor there might have been a promo, but no promo was given out. Just lots of random playtesting products, starters, and that sort of idea. So we will have to see if one creeps up later in the year. You know, right around the corner, again, you have the Peace Bridge, so potential promo there. And then, you know, July regional update. July regional update, everybody. Crickets, crickets, crickets. And that's the news. Overpower, overpower, overpower news. So a little bit lighter as everybody starts to receive their Kickstarters and everybody finalizes getting all that Buddha, Texas craziness out of the way. So obviously there was more big news. But you don't come here just for the news, you come here for the knowledge. Big news this weekend as well. Pew, 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 pew. The Western Shootout occurred. The season has officially begun. I actually am really happy with what occurred at this tournament in terms of the format choice. For both the Friday showing us a glimpse of potential to come meta for Modern, and then the Saturday showcasing how people look at ERB as potentially fitting in to the old legacy sets. And that's what we're going to focus on right now, because I found some really, really interesting things. Let's dive in. 22 players made it to Dallas, with again both Modern and Legacy being played. Great formats. Two biggest formats that'll be played all year. The players had a great time, and two different people won the different tournaments. I bring that up because in the past, you know, certain people have had great weekends and dominated weekends in both formats, whatever it may be. So this is going to bring us to a new segment on tournament reviews called OverPower Mountain Meta Metrics. You know me and my tongue twisters. I like to shoot them out there and see if you can say them at home. OverPower Mountain Meta Metrics. The O-triple-M. It's O-triple-M time. 12 different ERB characters made decks in Legacy. Different. That's not saying like a Hercules and a Hercules. 12 different. 12 out of 41 characters in ERB made it into a Legacy deck. Wow. 21 total characters out of a potential 88 characters. I'm sure everybody's doing the math right now. 22 players times 4, 88. 21 total characters out of those 88 were ERB characters. That's 23% ERB characters in the field at this tournament. You think this set is making an impact on the game of Overpower? Not to mention the flair I already saw people doing with different variant versions on their decks. Jealous already. To give you a sense, the top 2 tied characters most played. Can you guess? Can you guess? I know you can type it in quickly in the comments. Zorro and Hercules. Looks like people immediately leaned on the team defense idea. And both were, dare I say, sort of tentpole or accoutrement tentpole 8s. Now, though people had a lot of time viewing the card pool, with people just getting cards like days before, I wonder if this number actually would have been more. And I wonder if ERB would have actually been a higher percentage in the tournament. I'm interested. And those numbers I just gave you, obviously were not modern, because modern would be 100% of all characters. But they're shocking. A new set just dropped, and 23% of all characters in the whole field are the new set. Imagine something like, when we talk about something like Invincible dropping before the Nationals. A new set, 23%. I mean, I wonder if it'll be happening again. Interesting numbers. Interesting numbers. Top 2 tied again. Zorro and Hercules. Seems like that's who you'd sort of gear towards. Especially if you didn't have a lot of time. But we're going to break some stuff down. And I'm going to do it a little bit differently than I don't think any of you are expecting at this moment in time right now as well. We're going to break down the Legacy tournament and the Legacy top 3 decks. And we're going to finish with the modern top 4 decks. And where the modern meta might be shifting very early. And I'm also going to be giving you some modern tips from some of the players in the tournament as to what they thought happened and they could have done wrong. And the number one thing that I will reveal to help you become a better modern player will be revealed right after we talk about the Legacy decks. So, top 3 decks in the Legacy tournament. 3rd place, Tyler Bertrand. 2nd place, Justin Sade. And 1st place, Doug Sims Particles. We're going to go in reverse order again because I really want to dabble in what Tyler Bertrand was playing. Tyler played Zeus, Colossus, the Mummy, and old Doctor Strange in reserve. He played Onslaught Citadel and Asclepion. Asclepion Down. He also played Separation Anxiety for No Fighting Icon. Sorry, correct. I actually didn't know that. I did not know that. I did not know that Rob was actually 3rd place. Rob, congratulations on the 3rd place. Then we're just going to talk about Tyler's deck. Did Tyler take my Zeus podcast to heart? Or what? We chatted about Zeus. And I said, Thunderbolt, 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 Thunderbolt. And we talked about it, and you guys all laughed. You all laughed at me, and you said, he can only have 1 duplicate, Marcel. And I was like, put 6 or 7 of these in a deck. And you all said, that's crazy. And Tyler said, that's not crazy enough. That's not crazy enough for me. I confirmed with Tyler Bertrand. He was running 10 Thunderbolts in his deck. 10 Thunderbolts in his deck. This is a great deck, and I'm going to say from many different factors. From the card advantage from Colossus and the Mummy through their avoid draws. Also the venture and card manipulation from the Colossus OPD and the Citadel. And then you just add in the 1, 2, or 3 accoutrements from Asclepion. This deck keeps going. And, you know, we joked about it in a previous podcast where those 9s, when you throw them against a battle site, well, there's no secondary effect other than 9 damage on your battle site. Boom. 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 How many Thunderbolts can your battle site take before it's game over? Oh, you block off your thing? Your battle site? All of a sudden it shifts to your characters? You can't sleep on this. Can't sleep on this deck. It could be down by 2 cards, any random hand. And just through the Mummy avoid draw and a tuck, you've already made up potentially 3 cards. There's a lot going on. This is the type of thing. And then all of a sudden, it's not just that defense with potential draw factor. It's the fact that the powerhouse in the center is just dropping big hit after big hit, let alone potentially resetting the venture. Like, this deck could be down 2, 3 cards and venture 3 right at you. And then what are you going to do? Then your brain's just going to start spinning. I think this deck and this concept, for all of you listening at home, this should be studied moving forward. There was a lot of great factors to it. And there was a lot of great things going on. As I said, Zeus is not to be slept on. And the fact that he's already popping up in a legacy deck and a battle site killing legacy deck on top of it. There's more to come. There's more to come as we all start to expand our minds and become enlightened with ERB and World Legends and expanding it and flexing it into legacy. This is just one idea. And one that's already sparked. And I hope it sparked you now to come up with something on your own. Great deck, great concept. This is what I'm talking about when I say elevate your thinking. It doesn't just rely on one thing. It does a lot. And with a great driver, that deck could go places. Second place in the legacy. Mr. Second place. You're gonna get there soon, sir. You're gonna get there soon. Second place in the legacy tournament. This is back-to-back second places for this man, isn't it? Oh no, that was open. Justin Sade. Zorro. Heroes for Hire. Beast the Brute. And Deathbird, playing Outback and Spartan Training Ground. I don't know if, like I said before, Sherlock equals Baker, Baker equals Sherlock. If at this point in time, Zorro doesn't equal Spartan and Spartan doesn't equal Zorro, I don't know how you're trying to put a Zorro deck together and not flex out that Spartan aspect with him. It seems like almost a must fit. Outback bringing you extra defense. using Fatal Attraction and No Energy Icon. The trend is here. We talked about it. I tried to tell you as much in all the podcasts. Power events, power events, power events. Choose one, and hopefully it's the one you need at the right moment, at the right time. Justin chose a good one. No Energy Icon, maybe used to attack. I feel like this is a revamp of the top meta deck of last year, but with Justin twists. There's a lot going on. There's great synergy with the Team D. Obviously with the Zoro and the Spartan, accompanied with the big defensive outback. Switching his 1 per deck back to Pretty Boy, realizing that he needed that little bit of punch of defense back in his battle site. Taking advantage of the new NAOL rule change that Gladiator can now be used from reserve by Deathbird as a defensive card for the team. I see you climbing that mountain, Justin. I see you climbing it. You're going to get there. You're going to get there. I mean, this is one of those scenarios where, had your event dropped early and gave you advantage, you never know what could have happened differently. Are we entering a split 8s era where people are splitting 8s again? It seems like it's there, but is it there? In Legacy, it seems even more so that you can flex this idea. But is it there in Modern as well? We'll talk about it. I think when you split 8s, like Justin did in his deck here, it's a little bit easier when you do something like a Deathbird. It gives you that sort of like blanket on the back that everybody's got the same 7. So the split 8 is a little bit less daunting, especially with the any. Justin's a tough player. This is a tough deck, especially if you have any sort of energy theme or run through your deck. You just know you're coming up against that. Is it really time for the Time Traveler to start entering Legacy? Can you get that negate out before those key events come up to play? Or are you just booting a character for a potential chance to stop something? Stopping a nuclear bomb is pretty big. Justin, you're going to get your win soon. You're going to get your big win soon. Just keep watching and keep climbing. First place, Doug Sims Particles. I saw people opening packs online, and I saw Doug Sims win an OverPower tournament. And I said, and with Beyonder, White Queen, X Babies, and Old Magneto. And for a second, I had to look in the mirror. I was like, I thought, oh my God, this is what you always talked about. You're 18 again. You're 17 again. And you get to relive life all over again. It's time. You did it. You did it. And then I just realized it's not 1998. And Doug Sims just won a tournament with Beyonder, White Queen, X Babies, and Old Magneto. Age of Apocalypse and Team Overpower. Wow. I think what you're going to get from this is what I just talked about when I talked about Tyler and what event he's running. And I talked about Justin and what event he's running. And understanding that the Legacy format really does have an event heavy strategic element to it. You almost want to call him Doug Event Sims because he always seems to run these like big events that either like pop off and he dominates or they don't, and his deck's just medium. But when you have these events and they pop off and you're a good player like he is for such a long time and you know when to venture and you know your deck in and out, through and through, he's not intimidated sitting across from anything because he's sat across from everything already. And he knows when the crossing and the kill card comes up. That's going to affect you. It ain't going to affect Beyonder. And first and foremost, thank you, Doug Sims, for using Beyonder, not Hades. Hades is the least of the God Brothers. So getting that kill card early in a game, late in a game, middle of a game, nothing but advantage for Doug. And then, as we witnessed in the final game between him and Justin, he used what I would almost call last year's sleeper event. No teammate. No cards with the word teammate may be used. He used this to perfection. He knew the moment. Even looking across the table, seeing one defensive character, I would have done the same thing, let alone the teamworks. Classic deck, Doug. Classically played and well done. You'd been jockeying around top 8s. I've been knocking you out of most of them. Not all of them. But those events are just ruthless. And it's what I always talk about. When you get your style of play, when you find it and you start to perfect it and you start to craft it and you start to understand how your deck plays, and then you no longer play your deck and you start actually playing against the other opponent, this is when you can start to elevate your game and take it. That's why I say don't just always throw away a deck idea. Work it, tweak it. Doug's been tweaking this deck since 1998, and look what just happened. Showed up, wham. No ERB characters. Hello. Now, from what I was gathering from what he was explaining, he did play the deck a little bit more defensively than he has in the past. I know he was mentioning that he had 2 X-Baby Avoids in there. So, in decks like that, if your events don't pop, you all of a sudden start to get into this sort of, I hope he plays into this character this on. And I mean, there's nothing worse than playing against like any deck. And I know Beyonder has 2 chances on an avoid, but there's nothing worse than playing any deck, conceding a hand and then seeing someone go, oh, I have this avoid that's strictly for this one character, and if you didn't attack them, this card would have been a dead card. Oh, that's tough just even to see visually. But obviously he thought with AOA, with using obviously his 1 per deck in certain ways, that he might have needed a little bit more defensive action with it. And I will say, when you watch the finals, understanding that if you can gather something from a game like that, you gather the idea that he jumped on his moment. And that's a big thing when you're playing an OverPower. A lot of people have these moments where they have people, whether it be even someone like me or other top tier players, you have them in these moments and you let us talk you out of it, or you let us say something, you let us do something, you let us intimidate you to whatever factor. and you don't make those big moves, those big moments. He saw his moment and he said, "This is it. I'm going for it." They can backfire sometimes, but with everything leaning the way it was, the calculations, the skill level that Doug Sims has, that game was over the second he ventured those cards. Beyonder redundancy with the kill event is just almost too tough to overcome. It's almost just too tough to overcome. I could see some Beyonder potential decks starting to form. I could see people starting to dabble with that idea again. I can tell you I've gone down almost every Beyonder road there is mentally. I'm excited to see what potential characters could bring. I know with the changes in the NAOL, I've also now looked at some new Beyonder builds because some characters have opened up with different things that they have. It'll be interesting to see if there's a Beyonder / Hades resurgence in the legacy field. Congratulations again, Doug Sims. That is the first NAOL tournament of the year, the Western Shootout. You are the winner. Chicken dinner, ring in your house. I'm sure your wife was just glowing proud, and your family probably didn't stop talking about it all the way home. And probably still is talking about it to this day. So a great, great job. So as we wrap up the legacy thought there, it seemed like people almost were using legacy as an afterthought, even though you had already seen all the cards a lot. People were dabbling in ideas, but they weren't getting deep yet. No Raws, no Merlins. Actually, I think there was a Raw. But no combo work. No thoughts in that respect yet. Just still hitting the surface of this iceberg of legacy. And people are still in the prone idea of team defense, which is fine. We're going to all get there together. I look forward to June. I look forward to Peace Bridge. I have some really nice ideas cooking up for Legacy. And you better hope you're not sitting across the table from me, because I don't know if you're going to know what's going on. Save the modern for second, because though it was a Friday event, we can start to sniff future meta. And future meta in modern is unique. And I say it for this reason because I don't know what the top prize was this weekend at the NOL tournament, but I can tell you that they're generally, in the I don't want to say anything too crazy for any IRS purposes, but in the four-figure range of low four-figure range, we'll put it that way. Usually starts with a 1. And a lot of it can end up being, booster boxes or product even. So there's not a lot to gain when you go to these tournaments other than pride, rings. A lot of the times, even sometimes when you win the tournament, you lose financially. Modern's going to be different this year. 4 tournaments, $20,000 prize pools. 1 national, $25,000. That's real money. That's in some places, that's like your yearly wage. I know that's not a lot. For some, part-time. For others, just a great chunk of change to put in your pocket for a card game you love and want to play. So if we can start to sniff the meta that people are thinking in modern, then maybe, just maybe, you can start to understand and tweak And start to now, once you get these cards and you open these packs, start looking at them properly and not just as collectibles, but as the cards that could potentially win you what I imagine might be a $10,000 first prize in these tournaments. I found all these decks unique. And for the modern, what we're going to do is we're going to do a reverse order again. But we're actually going to go from 4th place to all the way to 1st place. And I'm doing this because I want to show a little range for you, a little understanding of where a good cross section of the players who finished in the semifinals of the first ever modern tournament were thinking. And I think they were having some really good thoughts. Again, I think it started to stem around the idea of basic overpower and defensive-minded prowess. But some of these impressed me with some deeper thinking. In 4th place, Corey Sims. Whew! Did the Ohio crew just have a weekend or what? Like, last minute, they're just like, oh, family's coming. Okay, family's dominating. All right, family's rolling out. Did you guys eat all the pizza too? What a great weekend by the Sims family. 4th place, Corey Sims. Leonidas, Zorro, Sherlock Holmes, and Watson in reserve. This is the first deck I've seen try to operate 3/8. And what a good idea right away. Baker Street obvs. Sherlock equals Baker. Baker equals Sherlock. Let alone you throw a little Watson in there. And he was using the King of the Jungle, which was the turn offensive negates into defensive negates. You know, he always found that despite the deck not per se having the biggest amount of old school classic legacy defense, he always found that he had just enough defense through either a power card or special. And one of the things he said about the deck that really kind of caught me was he just loved that as a kid growing up. He remembered watching Zorro on TV with his dad, and his dad reading Sherlock books to him in bed. And the fact that he was able to dream these two characters together on a team and actually be competitive, not just one of those moments where we're like, hey, I love Rogue X-Men, I'm just going to start playing Rogue and not do well. But to actually play characters from your childhood and thoughts, and then, you know, have this moment where they're actually competitive and you do well on top of it. Like, how does that not make young Corey proud? Like, how does that not? Like, that would make me proud. And I'm already thinking of the characters I'm going to get to play, that I've always had these ideas. Great job putting this deck together. I really liked the idea in terms of, obviously, you know, you have all the card search, but the sense that you have just enough defense, you're really holding on to that Leonidas avoid, like almost profusely for the power leech. Unless, you know, you start seeing all your Sherlock negates start to arrive. He said he was one mission away in his semifinal game from putting away the guy that won the tournament. One mission. 3 rounds. 2, 2, 2. And then he just couldn't get that last one in the semis. Take that as a lesson, everybody. That when you're humming and hawing, and you go 2 and 2, and then you look over and you have a decent hand, and you see 3 left, push it. Go for it. Roll the dice in life. If he did, maybe he'd be in the finals. Maybe he would have won the whole thing. But even though that moment came and fell, what a great tournament. And I can see someone like Corey Sims working hard on understanding Overpower, understanding the game, building up his repertoire, building up his experience through play. And that's the type of person that will win a tournament and will climb the mountain and will be sitting next to me one day. Third place, Justin Sadeh. What a day for Sadeh. Like, that's a good weekend for you too, sir. Another person climbing the mountain, as we spoke about. Leonidas, Van Helsing, Robin Hood, and Billy the Kid in reserve. Round table, unknown event. He didn't overly talk about his event, so it clearly wasn't something that was designed to push his deck in a direction. Now, Justin leaned on the mono 8 idea. Now, he's been playing mono 8s in legacy style, so I understand that he felt comfortable enough dealing with that. Now, he said he was truly leaning on the extra Van Helsing negate and the Leonidas avoid to make sure that power leech did not come through. It's a reoccurring theme we're going to keep talking about. He hoped that by having a mono 8 and by having someone with a JW like in Van Helsing. Now again, people, I just don't know if people know the card depth that well, Justin, that you had these thoughts already in. I think that's deep thinking, and I think that's what's going to happen in the future, but I don't know if that's the way it is right now. Because he hoped by having those two things, people would start playing at his 8 or Van Helsing, and the Robin Hood teammate avoid combat would come into play. Now, I'm going to tell you this. If I see a Robin Hood, that sucker's going to die real fast. Robin Hood going to die so fast, he's just going to wonder who was the mole in his camp that told the sheriff here where he was. You don't let Robin Hood live. You don't mess with Robin Hood. And we're going to get into that very shortly. So he was just hoping that these Robin Hood teammate avoids and draws were going to work because, you got your Negator, you got your Leonidas. Those are the characters you want to kill. And then this just lowly Robin Hood on the side. Really solid grid idea. And I think that's something people need to start focusing on as well as they move into the modern concept. Grid means a lot. Grid is huge coming up in modern. It's probably one of your biggest advantages. When you get a solid player like Justin and a solid grid and a solid deck, that's going to be one of those moments. It's going to be tough to beat. It's not going to let you have too many moments. And against a player like Justin, you need to find your moment and you need to exploit it and you need to hit it. Like you saw Doug Sims do in that final. You don't let players keep playing and play back into games. You finish them off. We're going to talk about the finals. The top 2 decks in meta. And I'm just going to say probably 2 of the better deck builders in the game of Overpower. So it wasn't surprising to see their names as the top 2. It wasn't surprising to see their decks as the top two. I think both played very much to their styles. And I think both played to different ideas of what they thought the modern game is going towards and how they were going to gain advantages through their play style. And I think that's huge. I always keep talking to you about that at home. Play style, play style, play style. You only ever understand it if you play. And then you'll figure out what makes you comfortable, how you like winning, what you like doing. And boy, did these two pick characters that just accentuated exactly the way they play. Tyler Bertrand, second place. John Carter, Sun Wukong, The Mummy, and Korak in reserve. John Carter, Sun Wukong, The Mummy, and Korak in reserve. That sounds like a powerful team. That just sounds like a powerhouse to me. And I've just been starting to go through all the cards, so I know what they all have, and I'm just like, wow, you're dealing with a lot there. Now, the concept he's trying to do is not only gain advantage through the Mummy, through the avoid draw of power card, but it's to take away KO pressure. And in the new game, KO pressure is what's happening. Can I kill you before you kill me? Can I put enough on you and it's my turn, you gotta concede? And what he decided to do is he took advantage of both John Carter's and Sun Wukong's remove all hits. So any advantage, any gain you got on me, I remove them. And then you're like, well, I'll just spread it. I'll just do this. I'll play strategically. It's like, first of all, if you spread hits in the new game, that's probably pretty silly. Because spread them all day. I wish you would just put all this hits all over all my different characters, all you want. That's how I'm going to beat you if that's what we're doing. But when you have someone like Sun Wukong and you have like a half vertigo, and then I can't remember the set, but I believe it was the maybe the Mars set that also has a vertigo style event that he used as well. All of a sudden, you have these moments where you are like almost like days of old. Vertigo to X babies, tuck or kill from the Citadel. Like, that's what it is. That's what it's getting to with that. Now, it's all timing. It's all how you play it. But oh boy, is that powerful. Oh, you want to just kill his 8 off? Well, he's got a teammate avoider coming right on the one side. And on the other side, he's got one that's avoiding power cards and drawing. So don't even go after his 8. Oh, you want to go after the Mummy? Still got a teammate avoider going over there. Okay, you want to kill John Carter? Okay, still got an avoid power card going over there. So what are you going to start doing? Splitting up your power cards? Oh, what a world. And now even with these specials that act as power cards, ooh, like the Mummy's scary. Like, between erasing the KO pressure and the card advantage from the Mummy, like, that deck could also do the same thing. Where, he's down a card on you and he'll venture 2 or 3 at you. And you're like, what the hell's going on? But in his crazy brain, he thinks he's going to draw 2 and then, flip all the attacks that you have. Because ain't got no negates. And if you do have a negate, he's going to power leech you because that's what you need your negate for. One of the great ideas of this deck that really threw me away as we all talk about reserve characters and what to do with reserve characters. When I looked at this deck, I said, the hell, man, you're just trying to fit in a character at the back. And then I really thought about the concept, and I was like, man, this guy's running teammate avoid characters, avoid draw, and his main 8 character. When his first character dies off the front line, Korak comes up, and then he gets his 1 per deck where he draws all the attacks towards him. How amazing is that? How amazing is that? That's almost like another Vertigo in a weird sort of way. Like, you just playing right into all the teammate avoids. It's just really well done. And I mean, I know he's leaning heavily on Sun Wukong for a lot in the deck. But when you're leaning on your 8 and you have 2 avoids coming from each end, this is well thought out. This is what you're going to have to compete against for $10,000. Are you ready? That's good thinking. And these cards just coming out. Now, I know he's a play tester and, set designer now with LRG. But he didn't design this set. That's just what he saw as a good player and deck builder. It's what you can see. We're going to talk about their finals game because, again, I'm going to drop the knowledge of the number one thing you have to think about when playing Modern Overpower moving forward. And it's the lesson everybody gave me. We're going to talk about that right after this person's deck. First place, Phil Final Boss Keffer. Leonidas, Zorro, Robin Hood, and Billy the Kid in reserve. Three out of the top 4 decks had Leonidas on it. Overpower Mountain Meta Matrix. Metrics. Tongue twister. What a solid grid. What a solid grid this deck has. It's probably one of the best, most solid grids I've seen, period, created yet in the modern era. No, Mr. Taylor. Sadly, modern decks were not written down at the Western Shootout. So the best you're getting is my top 4. And I had to go through a little bit of research to get these. Leonidas, Robin Hood, Zorro, Billy the Kid, Phil Final Boss Keffer. What I noticed was that when you start looking through ERB and you start seeing cards, specials that act as power cards, those are big deals. You're like, why, Marcel? Why are those cards big deals? You can follow up Teamworks with those special cards. In this deck, you have 2 characters that have such special cards. Now you're like, well, why is that an advantage? Well, when you're in a situation where I can throw speed at you, and I can use these specials to accentuate either allies or accentuate Teamworks. It frees you up to keep your power cards for defense. So simple. Yet so complicated to do. The speed of this deck is unprecedented. It's wild. Not only is it wild in terms of the speed, but because of the power grid cohesion, You just can use any power card in your hand for defense while using these specials to attack with. Nope, didn't work out. Well, don't worry. One of those two specials gets to use for defense as well. That Zoro 5 is probably one of the most deceptive cards in the ERB game. Because as much as the Hercules 7 can be attack or defense, that Zoro 5 can be attack, defense, teamwork, follow-up, everything. There's a lot to it. Now, you're like, okay, I get it. Zoro Leonidas. But then we have to talk about a certain character named Robin Hood. 18-point underrated multi-banging powerhouse. You don't want to attack him? Fine, you just let him dominate your deck. Ally, 3 multi, attack, attack. Wow. Ally, 3 multi, attack, 5, follow-up. Let alone discard a card I draw 2. Let alone you decide to go after my 2 8 characters. And I'm going to avoid an attack with a combat icon and draw. Wait a minute. Oh, fine. You think he's too good, so now you're just going to kill Robin Hood? No problem. You're not going to attack my 2 8 characters? Okay. Sounds good. Sounds great. Just give me a free cannon fodder right over there. No problem. Still going to get a couple of Robin Hood cards off. And I get it. Billy's not doing much from the back. And I know Mr. Keffer's in the room, so I'd love you to say what your event set was, if you don't mind, in the comments here. I'd love to throw it into the chat here. But when you think of that grid, and again, Billy not providing big, but like a couple specials, and again, you know, any heroes can even play off the back. That's big. Like, your 8s being... Your 8s being the characters they don't want to attack. Like... And then, you know, depending how you look at it, there's no negate. So this one's playing with fire a bit. This one's almost like it reminds me of like an aggro red deck from Magic. Like it wants to kill you before you can kill it. Speed, 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 speed. Fast. Want to dance. This type of deck, though, you have to be very careful. And I can only imagine all day. Funny enough. And I can only imagine all day that Leonidas Avoid was just sitting there placed and never moving until the Power Leech was played. And I say that for a reason. Because a game of OverPower has many different, you know, little things that happen here or there. But in the finals, one man was able to block a Power Leech, and one man wasn't. And one of those won the game, and one didn't. And I'm sure you can guess which was which. So this is where I break down the number one thing as we move along in meta. And you start to think as we start to move forward. Not only do you need a solid deck. Not only do you want a solid grid. Not only do you want characters that have cohesion and synergy together. But you need to stop the Power Leech. You need to stop the Grim Reaper. Grim Reaper equals death. Super simple. You need a way to stop the Grim Reaper. Look at how these 4 decks decided to do it. Each one of these decks had a character that said character or teammate may avoid 1 attack. I don't think that was by fluke. These are 4 very good players. Very good players. Think about that lesson. Think about these decks that we just talked about. Yes, you could say that some of these were, just on the top grid style decks with good players and, good specials and so on. Some of them had more combo style ideas. It doesn't matter how you go about it. You just need to know what you're going about. And you need to be able to block the Grim Reaper. I was shocked as this tournament came to its sort of conclusion that there wasn't more Merlins in play, that there wasn't more ideas like that. John Carter's for the teammate avoids, or, King Arthur's. You got to block that leech. Because guess what? Phil Final Boss Keffer blocked the leech. He went 7-0. Clean slate. Modern format. Congratulations, Mr. Keffer. That was a great tournament victory. I'm sure many more are to come. Well, that's the show, my friends. What a good one. When you start breaking down characters and you start thinking everything through, you start to understand that there are many different avenues. We just spoke about a lot of different, decks in terms of legacy, in terms of opening ERB characters. So when you're opening these packs over the next little while, read the cards. See what the characters do. Start to imagine, start to open your mind again. Because tournaments are right around the corner. Right around the corner. And there's going to be one near you. And then there's going to be that regional. And then there's going to be another regional. And this is big money about to happen. Can you imagine going home and telling your loved one, I just won $10,000 on that silly card game that you saw me ripping packs on? And everybody was just, I couldn't even, imagine coming home and saying, don't worry about it. Let's go on a vacation. OverPower just bought me a vacation, sweetheart. Start working. Start climbing the mountain. Keep watching the show. So this is what I'm going to say. You all have a great evening. Keep thinking OverPower, deck building, and getting to the top of the OverPower mountain. This is the OverPower Mountain podcast, and I am the OverPower Goat. Have a great night.